I don't know why you're arguing me on this. Like,
look, I've conceded now. I'm not gonna fight you on it. Let's record the damn episode.
okay, we're gonna record the damn episode. In 5, 4, 3. Welcome back to Lost Legacies, damn it. Me and Sam are already in a mood because we're tired.
And you pissed me off right before, all right? Got in an argument about something. Yeah, enough. Let's just record. Jeez. Speaking although I think it's pretty fitting considering like the subject matter of the episode is just frustrating, you know? It's like, it's not to say it wasn't a good episode. It's just, man, this was intense.
Yeah. This one was a bit rough. And we're talking so we're talking about season 2, episode 14, One of Them. Sayid is sought by Russo after one of her traps captures a mysterious man, leading to conflict over whether he should be treated as an enemy or not. So first off, I'm just gonna say, man, this episode like bangs. Like, it was action wise, like there wasn't really a lot, you know, because I was gonna say, you know, but it was fast paced, and I don't know. I just thought it was great. What are your just first thoughts? Just
first reaction was that it's just it's fast paced. It flows really well. Like there's not really a dull moment in it, and some damn good writing, damn good acting.
Yeah. And it's a Sayid episode, which it had been a while since we got it was season 1, right? Yeah, we haven't had a Sayid centric one this season.
This is 14 episodes into season 2, and we finally get a Sayid episode. It's insane.
I think that's what I noticed. I noticed right off the bat too, because like I think the opening shot, it's in the flashback, right? It's not on the island.
Yes, it's the explosion and everybody's trying to shred the records.
That's right. It's when they get captured. So as soon as it starts, you know you're in a flashback and you know it's Sayid. And I've been thinking about that because there was I think most of the characters, not most, but kind of like the quote unquote main ones, got at least 2 flashbacks episodes in season 1. A few of them got 3. I think Jack was one who got 3 for sure. But everyone else pretty much got 2, except for, you know, a few. But this time around, like you said, we're already 14 episodes in, and there's still some of our cast who haven't got a centric episode this season. Yeah. And that's not to say that they haven't been around, but it's just, they weren't the lead, and they weren't, it wasn't their flashbacks. The first one I thought, I was like, okay, Sayid, this is it. And then also I started thinking, wait a minute. I don't think we've got one with, did we get one with Sun and Jin this season?
Yeah.
Oh, it was like episode 2 or something like that, right? Or 3. It was pretty early on.
It was pretty early. I want to say it was like 5 or something.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So there's a few, the Charlie one, just an episode or 2 ago, we hadn't got one from him for a while. So anyway, this is something to keep in mind. The more people they add to the cast, like, okay, who's going to get less backstory, you know? I think that's something they could use to their benefit, because like Charlie, there hasn't been a Charlie episode that we really dug so far. And it's like, I think we need to start focusing less on his backstory. Give me more Mr. Echo or Bernard or something like that, you know? We have this new cast, Libby. Like she's there, but she's barely been in this series so far. She's just kind of coming in and out. So give me some of that instead of focusing on like the weaker storylines like Charlie's. But this was not a weaker episode at all. Right off the bat, Sayid and his buddies get captured by American soldiers which is I don't even know how to say this guy's name. Theo Rossi.
Yeah. Theo Rossi.
Yeah. This is a guy from Sons of Anarchy, Luke
Mm-hmm.
Cage, Army of the Dead. He like hasn't aged at all. This was 2006, right? He looks exactly the same.
I think like here he looks like just a little bit younger, but yeah, like it like yeah, I noticed it and was like, oh, hey, yeah, Shades. What are you
Shades,
doing,
yeah, from Luke Cage.
Yeah.
I think it also, I mean, he's dressed in like the soldier uniform, you know, so he has a lot of gear on. He's a super big helmet. So a lot of him is kind of like obscured. Just kind of like going off his face. But so this flashback episode, without, you know, recapping every single thing beat for beat, essentially this is the story of Sayid getting captured by the Americans and he has to turn on his own. And this is also where he picks up his torturer skills. Which is that's something like I never even kind of considered. I just assumed, oh yeah, this is what he did. That's where he learned it from. I didn't really realize like, oh man, it was the Americans who taught him. So that was kind of a twist. Yeah, because I was just trying to put the timeline together here. Because one of his flashbacks, he was still in the military, and that's when he had to torture Nadia.
Yeah.
And then his second one was like post. It was like after, you know, he's in Australia and stuff. Yeah. And this one is before all of that. That's interesting. So first off, we get Theo Rossi. I apologize, Theo. I don't know how to say your name. 2, did you recognize the guy, the commander who gives him the job or who picks him?
Not until like the very end.
The very end. That was Kate's dad.
Yeah, that was Kate's dad. He would make it a point and just call him Sergeant or Sarge. Yeah. And then when he asks at the end, it's like, you have a family, wife, kids? And Sayid just shakes his head, and then we cut and we see a picture of a young girl, you know, with like I don't know, it looks like they're fishing or something. And I was like, oh, that's Kate. That's Kate. This is Kate's dad. Whoa!
Yeah, like, you could tell that was a picture of Evangeline Lilly as a kid. Like it had to have been.
Small world,
right? It's crazy. And 3, they can't get Sayid to do the thing and to turn his people into, you know, because he's just an intelligence officer, and they can't get him to. He's basically the best translator they got. So who do they get in to get Sayid on their side?
I'll tell you who they get, Matthew. They get Mr. Krabs.
Mr. Krabs?
Yeah.
Does he play Mr. Krabs?
Yes, dude.
Clancy fucking Brown plays Mr. Krabs.
Yeah, dude. He plays Lex Luthor and Mr. Krabs.
Man.
Insane. Yeah. Yeah, when he showed up, I was like, hey, that's Lex Luthor and Mr. Krabs. That's Clancy Brown. Yeah, it was wild. Yeah.
I'm the hero of Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were they? Were they the Federation or what were they called?
Yeah, I think they were called
like Galactic Federation or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
Zim. Yeah. Zim. That was.
Oh man, that's cool. I'm always down for more Clancy Brown.
Yeah. Anytime he shows up, it's always a treat. So yeah, he ends up playing like, I don't know, not even, I feel like he's also like an intelligence officer.
It's like the American Sayid, essentially.
Yeah. Gives him the toolbox to start him on his way. Yeah. Oh, and then in the end, it turns out he can speak their language. Like he could have done it himself.
Yeah.
But he, I don't know, wanted to do that for Sayid, I guess. Like that was, it's twisted. It's very twisted.
I think he also knew that he had a better chance of Sayid getting the answers than just an American.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
man. Yeah, it was very, those flashbacks, I don't want to get too into it, but I'm very conflicted, especially everything that's going on in the world right now. Turning on the news and it's just fucking chaos. So I had a lot of reactions to this episode. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I'm referring to everything in Afghanistan right now, which isn't related to Sayid's story, but that was the time period, that started 20 years ago. And so 2006 Lost is like the early days. It's very interesting. And we've mentioned it before, how the show was kind of ahead of its time. And now I kind of feel like, I don't know, could Sayid be a character on television right now? I would like to say yes, because I think he's a step in like forward and a step in the right direction. But we've already discussed, like, he is kind of that trope. Okay, this is the Middle Eastern man. He was a soldier. He was a torturer. But we're trying to humanize him and get people to understand where he's coming from, to kind of to make the other not an other anymore, to humanize them. So ideally, I would love that for everyone of every race, of any culture and, military enemy or ally. But I just don't know how accepted that would be in a politically driven market. That's essentially what we're in right now.
Yeah. I don't know. It's tough because, I mean, on the one hand, like, yeah, Sayid in this show within the time period is very radical, at the same time, you also kind of have to think about, like, okay, well, who's in the writer's room? Who's behind the scenes writing all of this stuff? It's like our entertainment industry has gone through, and is currently going through a lot of shakeups right now, where we are getting a lot more diversity in those positions of power, behind the scenes, in the writer's room, on the production, in directing, and producing, all of that. And it's nowhere near perfect, but I think there could potentially be a way to do it, so long as there are people behind the scenes that are doing it right, that are like fact checking and being like, okay, hey, like, let's talk about this for a second. Like, I see where you're coming from with the story. Maybe that's not the best direction to go right now. Like, let's put a pin in that. Let's do this, So, I mean, because, it's kind of like the thing we were talking about. I think we've talked about this on here. I think we had to during like Ana Lucia's episode. It's like, think about, Ana Lucia being a cop, and everything in her episode, especially after the year that we had, the year that we're currently having. It's like, yeah, how do you maneuver being a cop, like having a character be a cop on one of the biggest TV shows of all time, and by the same token, it's the same thing with Sayid. So yeah, I don't know. It's uneasy terrain and uneven terrain. And I think and of course this is, us speaking about it. It's like, I feel like they were able to balance that line, because we feel so much for Sayid, and like we have seen him and experienced his journey and his struggles in multiple aspects on the island and off. So it's like, I did feel like, okay, like, this is a logical progression. I can see how it all comes in, and it is tragic and heartbreaking. We're not pro this episode, like we're not saying like, oh yeah, Americans, like, they had it right, like, they're doing good, like it helps Sayid in the long run. Like, we're not saying that at all. It's like, we're just saying that, like, this helped his character progression from an audience standpoint. And so it's like, okay, I understand that, and I feel for Sayid, like, that's,
and I think that's one of the ways, like, they did it right, because it's from Sayid's perspective, and not once are we rooting for the Americans in this.
Yeah.
Because they are so antagonistic to one of our lead characters. So I think that's one of the ways to address it. And that's something I've kind of been thinking about too a lot lately. You know, we're all about, we're trying to be more inclusive and just involve everyone to get everyone to, if everyone can tell their stories, that's just going to further strengthen the stories we're telling and make them last longer. Everyone's always bitching and complaining like, oh, it's always been done before. Hollywood's only doing this and this and this. I'm like, that's why we need more minorities in there, because they're still the minority, you know. We need to get them to tell their stories because they're completely different than what we have had.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
But at the same time, it's I think we need to give ourselves the breathing room to make some mistakes. You know, it's just like any other like art project. You got to get in there, you got to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And I think, yeah, we're probably going to be getting some tropes.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, that's this one random person I'm talking about right now. This is their experience. This one person in the writer's room, that's their experience. Tropes are tropes for a reason, and it's because it's real. We just see them as tropes because we see it too much.
Yeah.
You know, so the more voices we get in there, the more we can humanize those tropes and realize, okay, yeah, this is a real story. This is a story that I care about.
Yeah, it lends a level of authenticity that other shows and maybe even Lost at this point it just doesn't reflect. You know, it's kind of another Lindelof show, Watchmen, like that had a very diverse writers room and directors, and so it's like there was a balance, and you could see that, and you can see an authenticity in the story that they were trying to tell. You know, that it's like, yeah, like if it had just been, you know, Lindelof writing the whole thing, like, yeah, it maybe would have come off as inauthentic, you know, and disingenuine, you know. So
yeah, so we'll see what the future has in store for storytelling. Yeah. Let's see. So what else happened on this show?
Well, you know, there's everything with Henry Gale and getting shot with a crossbow, and Jack having to heal him, and Sayid doing his
so I want to pause real quick because we tried to avoid spoilers. But this is one. How much do you, Sam, know about Henry Gale, about this character going into this episode?
I know.
You know a bit, right? Or maybe not a bit, but so there's no way to avoid spoilers really for this, because I know we like to give spoiler warnings, but yeah. So just heads up to the audience, if this is your first time watching Lost, Michael Emerson, who plays Henry Gale, he's on this show for a while. That's all I'll say. I won't say what role, but there's no way we can talk about this without addressing it. And I kind of feel like this is one of those things we have to address just because we're watching this show like 15 years after it aired.
Yeah.
You know, it was just, it's in the zeitgeist. We remember, well, you mentioned earlier that you don't remember seeing Mr. Echo on a lot of the posters for later seasons.
Yeah.
I do remember seeing Michael Emerson on a lot of the posters in the later seasons. So it's kind of one of those things, we can't escape all spoilers, but Michael Emerson is an actor with some staying power on this show. So without spoiling like what you already know, like how did you feel about that? What was your response to him in this episode?
Okay. First of all, whoever chooses the thumbnails for episodes on Hulu, I'm sorry, but you got to maybe do a better job.
It's like putting the sled on the cover of Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
You just don't do it.
Yeah, exactly. You're just like, what? All right. So So yeah, there was that. So I knew going into like, okay, this guy's gonna be in it. And then through the whole episode, it's like, oh, okay, like his name's Henry Gale. Russo thinks he's an other. Sayid is very timid. But then kind of almost immediately after he brings him into the hatch, kind of is on Russo's side. They're like, no, he's another. I know that for a fact. So seeing Henry Gale is interesting because there's obviously there's a panic. This guy's just been captured and hung up in a tree for a day, and then he's been shot by a crossbow.
Oh, dude!
And
such good effects too, man. It was a great shot.
Oh man, I screamed. I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, I know. I was like, "Damn it, Russo!"
I was like, "Man, that was crazy." Yeah, she's just like, "If I wanted him dead, he would be dead."
I was like, "We don't see you for 13 episodes," and then she comes out and shoots the guy in the back.
Shoots a guy. I'm like, "Yep, good old Russo." So yeah, so that was fun. And then we see him get thrown into the now empty armory.
Yeah,
and
that's handy.
Yeah, that's pretty handy. And then Sayid just mostly talks to him until about the end of the episode where he started beating him up.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so it's an interesting performance. Again, without going into spoilers, like, I'm sorry, I just don't believe the balloon story. Like, okay, yeah, a month ago is what he said, or something like that, or like 3 months
I think he said
ago?
like 4 months ago, but his wife just died.
Oh, 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of like, just because it's lost, and because I'm like, yeah, I'm willing to give people the benefit of the doubt, but just hearing that story, and I'm just kind of like, nah, this sounds like a story, bro.
Yeah.
Like this does sound like that. And even Sayid kind of feels like that when he asks Henry, where did you bury your wife? How deep did you dig the grave? How many handfuls of earth did you move? And Henry's just saying, like, I don't know. And Sayid's like, you would remember. If you loved your wife, you would remember how many, how much earth you moved. And then that's when we see, oh, this is also Sayid processing his pain from having lost Shannon and having buried Shannon himself. Like, yeah. And it's not necessarily that we forgot about that, because one, Sayid hasn't been a part of any of the main story for a while. But two, anytime we've seen him, he's not really been in a good place, or he's not been in a good mood.
Yeah.
And for good reason. The fact that Ana Lucia was the one who ran up to him at the start of the episode saying that, there's somebody close to the camp, it turns out to be Russo. Like, the fact that she's the one that does that, and Sayid, like, immediately is just like, what do you want, Ana Lucia? Like, ooh, man. Yeah, there's trouble in paradise, to be sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is this is just Sayid also kind of processing through his pain, which he also tells Charlie at the end, like,
yeah,
which was an interesting scene, and I was conflicted by it, mostly just because I'm unsure where that conversation ends.
Yeah, because it's definitely like, it's like a cliffhanger moment. Like, what does Sayid know? What is he planning? Like, he's obviously, the way the conversation is going, he's obviously has plans for Charlie. Like, he couldn't just be talking to someone randomly. It's the fact that he was talking to Charlie, and he asked him at the end, he's like, what about you? Did you forget? I don't know. Like, it was a bit of a cliffhanger. Like, honestly, I don't remember. I don't remember what happens next. So I'm really excited to see that. I don't know. Does he know about Charlie? Because Charlie also showed up at the end of the last episode, revealing that he's the one who took out Sun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling that maybe that might have something to do with it. I mean, if someone's going to figure out, it's going to be Sayid anyway.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't know, because it's like, I think from where Sayid is coming from, like he just went up to Charlie because that was the last time they did anything together. You know, when they went off to go find, you know, to go find Claire's baby, to go get it back from Rousseau.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that Charlie was also strung up by Ethan when they abducted Claire. So it's like, the conversation does serve Charlie and us as a reminder that, like, hey, like these are terrible things that have happened because of the others.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody seems to remember that.
Yeah.
Everybody's so focused on the now and the now, like, oh, this is happening right now. But everybody forgets the people that were affected by the others personally, firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even a little poignant when Locke and Jack are talking about, you know, like, hey, like, I'm sorry, Jack is pissed that Sayid's in the armory and it's locked, and because Locke changed the combination.
Mm-hmm.
And he's pissed, and Locke even says, is like, you're the one who wanted to raise an army. You also have to realize that this is part of that. It's like, yeah, you didn't think, Jack, about what you were doing when you said, oh, we're going to get all the guns and we're going to go, you know, we're going to go out there, we're going to take down the others. Like, you're waging a war on people. Like, there's some shitty stuff that happens in a war.
This is what comes next.
Yeah, this is what comes next. And if that's makes you uncomfortable, then maybe we shouldn't be waging a war to begin with.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, this is a real interesting episode because all these moral quandaries are being drawn, and it's sort of slapping people in the face with, like, yeah, this is part of the thing that you want to do. You want bloodshed. This is part of the bloodshed.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not comfortable with that, then yeah. So it's really interesting. Yeah. Having Sayid and Charlie sort of end cap this episode with their conversation, it leaves a bad feeling in your gut. You know, you're like, one, I don't know where it's going to go. And two, it's like, yeah, Sayid has a dangerous set of skills, you know, but we know that he's a good man.
Mm-hmm.
And just the fact that he admitted to Henry that he's a torturer, like, that is who he is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he didn't say he was a good man pushed too far or anything like that, or he's just trying to do what's right. No, he said his name was Sayid and I am a torturer. Like, that's what sucks about this episode. It's like, it took Sayid to that dark place that we don't want to see. Yeah. We don't want to see happen to characters like this, to guys like this. So it's heartbreaking and it's upsetting, but man, is it damn good television.
Yeah, it is. Man, dude, I don't know. Because, you know, I can see it from Jack's perspective. Like, we don't know who this guy is, but at the same time, like, oh man, I don't know. If I was there, if Matt was there, I'm like, I'm gonna go watch the button. Oh, let's talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I completely forgot. Because basically Jack gives Locke the ultimatum. He like pins him down. He's like, give me the open the armory door, or I'm not gonna let you push the button. All the alarms are going off, blah, blah, blah. So finally Locke does it, and he opens the armory, lets Jack in, and he runs off to push the things. And once again, they type in the wrong code and they have to delete all the way back. And they do it again. That thing should be on a post-it note right on the top. Right? There's got to be at least one post-it note in that hatch.
Right. I'm so bad with all my passwords anyway. You know, it's just like, I gotta have some sort of visual aid sometime. And I'm just like,
if no post-it, there's got to be a pencil, a pen. I would write it on the computer so we don't forget.
Right. It's like they've got all the stuff in the hatch anyway. Like, you can write stuff.
But point is, it hit 0 before Locke could hit the code.
Mm-hmm.
And then like what we heard, like machinery.
Yeah,
We heard
like
something moving, like machinery. Sound like a transformer. And then all the numbers flipped to like black and red hieroglyphics of all things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh shit, I knew it. I knew it. It's the mummy. It's the mummy. We just woke the mummy.
And then Locke hits the code,
Hits the code,
enter, and then everything
over.
resets. So it's like, okay. So we know a couple of things. One, we know that if you enter the code still after a certain point that the timer has already gone off or gone to 0, it'll still reset.
Yeah.
And whatever it turns on will shut off again.
I think it's time for some experimentation.
Yeah.
We might die, Sam. We might die, but
see, that's what I would do if you and me were doing it. It'd be like, hey, Matt, let's time it.
Okay. We'll do 15 seconds, then we'll hit the code. After it hits 0, 15 seconds, and then we hit the code.
We got to do it like, okay, we're going to do 5 seconds this time. Next time,
okay,
10 seconds.
Okay, we'll be very conservative about it.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still alive.
Fantastic. Yeah, we're still alive.
And then we'll go mark the blackboard. Or like, okay.
Yeah. Of course, it can only happen while we're on shift because if anybody finds out what we're doing, they're going to be like, what are you guys doing? Locke is going to be pissed.
Mm-hmm.
Jack is probably just going to be like, why don't you just see what happens? I'll be like, because Jack, what if you're wrong?
I don't want to die.
What if we do all that? You heard the noise. Like there's something that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Stop being rational for once in your life.
Jeez,
be afraid, Jack.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Man. Okay, so what were you gonna say?
Oh, and then we just gotta talk about the Hurley Sawyer show for a second.
Yeah, I wasn't even gonna mention it because like I'm not really sure what the point is of that little adventure. You know?
Yeah, I wasn't too sure where it was going. I like the idea of Sawyer having to like nags him so much that he needs to get rid of it. But yeah, it was just done in a weird way. I feel like this was just given to Sawyer because of what happened last episode. Like was such a big moment that there's no way we can't have Sawyer show up in the next one.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing everyone's giving him the cold shoulder, including Jin, including Hurley. I guess they set up the fact that Hurley's hoarding food,
which is also weird because it's like one they went through a bunch of the food.
Yeah,
that one night, and Hurley gave everybody food.
To steal it?
Yeah, it's like, look, it's ranch. Like
ranch has to take a giant tub of ranch dressing.
You can't do it anywhere else.
You can't sneak out with that thing. Like, now, granted, he had a bunch of snacks. He had a bunch of stuff there, but plus this giant tub of ranch dressing. Like, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, hey, dude, I don't know. This, it just kind of feels a little hastily thrown together.
Yeah.
But
I wonder if the episode was maybe too short and they just needed something to fill it. Like, I don't know. It kind of feels like that, but
could have been. I feel like it also does like lighten the mood for the episode a lot.
Yeah.
Right. Definitely. Until the last time we get Hurley and Sawyer together.
Yeah.
And they catch the frog. And I'm like, I don't know. Like when Sawyer squished the frog, I was like, yeah, I kind of saw that coming.
Yeah.
But I was really hoping that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
And
and Hurley saw it coming too,
I think it's the fact that like we didn't get to see anything else come of that.
Yeah.
Like that, like I think that's what kind of bugs me, even at the end, or anything like that. Like, yeah, so it was just an odd little bit. And I don't know. If I ever asked Damon Lindelof anything, it would be like, hey, what was up with that frog scene?
All right. Well, what are we thinking? for MVPs for this one?
You know, I'm I'm basic, and I'm just gonna give it to Naveen Andrews.
Okay.
I am pumpkin spice vanilla latte basic, and I'm gonna give it to the header of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I kind of want to give it to Michael Emerson, but not really. Like, not yet. Like, I don't know.
It's an interesting setup, and I think he does a well enough job of throwing us off our rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of throwing suspicion off of himself. So I'll give him that. But yeah, I don't think this is a Michael Emerson
Yeah, this is
worthy MVP yet.
yeah. And let's just talk about that too, because the last time we see him, Sayid is shouting, "He's one of them," blah blah blah, and we see this final shot of Henry Gale just looking out the doorway at him, and there's a bit of menace in his look, you know, and Sayid notices it too, like, oh crap. So the way the writers ended this, like, we're supposed to have Henry Gale, like, we're supposed to be suspicious.
Gotcha.
You know, I'm trying to think of like how the writers were doing it. Like, I think this episode we really were supposed to be torn over whose side, you know, Sayid or Jack. Is he or is he not? But then by the time we get that final shot of him, like, we're pretty sure, like, oh shit, is he another? You know, the they're stacking the deck on the other camp for that one. Like, they purposely made that ominous.
Yeah. I have to say, I'm sorry, but I wanted to tell Locke to shut the hell up at the end of the episode, where Locke and Sayid are arguing whether or not he's an other, and Locke just comes in and he's just like, "Of course he's another." To Rousseau, we're all others, and I'm just like, "Locke, shut the hell up!"
And Jack tells him earlier, he's like, "Shut up."
Yeah,
I was like, "Damn it." I feel like this is kind of like, this is the Empire Strikes Back of Lost, not in the way that like Empire Strikes Back is like the best Star Wars movie. I'm dodging the fruit just in case anyone's out there.
Do you think Empire Strikes Back is not the best Star Wars movie?
No, I think it is, but I can't tell with fans these days. They just want to fight.
Just do you, bro.
Even if they agree with me, they want to fight me on it. Anyway, Empire Strikes Back is the best one. I feel like this is Empire Strikes Back just because this is like this is what you do with your story, especially when you have multiple iterations. Second one, things got to get heavy.
Yeah.
And I think we're definitely getting that from season 2 for sure. This is a much darker season than season 1. I am glad though, because we went through a few episodes that were pretty dark and like we just weren't having fun. We're like, oh dude, Charlie, really?
Yeah.
And then even like Sawyer's episode was pretty dark, but the pacing and the way, just the it was a very intricate storyline that I really, really enjoyed. It wasn't fun, but like I really enjoyed it. And now with this one, it's really dark, but there is this mystery to it. And you know, your brain cylinders are firing. I'm like, okay. So it feels like we mentioned an episode or two ago how like those first 8 episodes of the season, it was about the hatch. It was about both groups of survivors. And once they kind of wrapped that up, a lot of the drama was wrapped up and we didn't really know why we're tuning in every week, because they don't address the mysteries every week. They don't solve everything every week. So we're kind of left in this place. Okay, why are we watching if this isn't fun? So I think now they're kind of starting to build stuff up with this character of Henry Gale. We don't know if he's another or not, but they're really trying to make us think like, hey, this guy's another. You know, so I think that helps. And I think that's what really helped this episode. The fact that it's like, who is this guy? Because both others that we have had before, we didn't know were others at the beginning. You know, so it was the reveal. And then every time we meet the bearded guy and everyone else, it's like you can't do anything about it because they're on the boat at gunpoint. They're out in the forest, surrounded. There's nothing, there's nothing you can do. Whereas this guy, I feel like, sure, maybe he's an antagonist, but I think the fact of like maybe a false sense of security, like he's ours. We got him locked up.
Yeah.
So how is this going to move? It feels like it's going to force the story to move forward. They're just sitting in this hatch. We don't know what this thing is for, but when you have an actual character that represents the mystery, I just feel like it has to push the mystery forward or push that storyline forward. At least I'm hoping. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
So I will say I'm enjoying season 2 a lot more than I did when I first watched it. So yeah, I don't know. I think I'm waiting to see what happens with Henry Gale and Michael Emerson on the show because, yeah, I don't remember a lot of it. But speaking of that, what happens next? Got any predictions now?
Well, Sayid dropped the pliers in the room that Henry Gale's in.
Oh shit! I didn't even think of that.
So I'm gonna say the pliers are gonna come in a not so handy way later.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of it right now. I'm kind of curious as to where everything's gonna go, and I don't know where what's up. But I will say that I think Henry Gale's story is bull hockey.
Bull hockey. Okay. Well, I think it's a bunch of crap. Moving on. Next week, we are watching, what is this? Season 2, episode 15, Maternity Leave. Claire becomes desperate when she believes that Aaron might be getting sick. Boom. That's kind of a recurring thing, Russo keeps mentioning, are any of your people sick? Where's your people? They got sick. Henry Gale mentions that his wife got sick. So I don't know.
And what's his name? Desmond asked how many people were sick.
That's right, and that's why he took like all that the medicine and stuff, right? So he wouldn't get sick, brother. We'll see. That's what we have to find out next time. Well, we got nothing else to talk about because we literally just recorded the last episode like 2 days ago. So I can't ask you if you've watched anything cool or not in the last 48 hours. Have you?
No.
I haven't.
No, I haven't either.
Oh.
I mean, Dimension 20 started Unsleeping City season 2.
Oh, you started?
Yeah, we're
okay.
We're like 3 episodes in.
For everyone listening, Dimension 20, it's awesome. Live stream Dungeons and Dragons show with a bunch of comedians from Dropout TV. Awesome, fun. It's just a blast. Check that out.
Yeah, highly recommend it. It's so great. They have like a main sort of cast, and every season they have like a different story that they go through. And then they do have like side quests where they have, like guests come on and play for a certain amount of episodes. But this one was the second season of Unsleeping City, which is essentially just magic New York. It's still the New York City we all know and love, but there's magic and things get pretty crazy. But yeah, that was good. It's good so far. I like it. I do feel like it's veering into Ghostbusters 2 territory.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the better of the Ghostbusters movies. So
really, I don't remember part 2 too much. But we here at Lost Legacies are firm advocaators for the Dungeons and Dragons. Highly recommend it. If you like Lost, play some D&D. You can get a lot of crazy magic, creepy stuff in there, and
make your own island and populate it with your own polar bears.
Yeah,
and your own secret hatches that do indeterminate things.
And you know what? If you don't like Lost, play D&D, make your own freaking story, make your own freaking island, make your own freaking polar bears and smoke monsters and mysteries. You try doing it.
Yeah. Or,
Anyway.
this is an interesting thing. Or because, we also advocate, for other games as well. There are other role-playing games.
No.
So, there are other role-playing games, Matthew.
I haven't seen them. I don't believe it unless I see it in front of me.
Shut the hell up. Matt, shut the hell up.
Damn it, I'm locked.
You're locked right now.
Oh.
Anyway, why don't you come up with your own Lost TTRPG?
Oh, that would be interesting.
Fill it with your own stuff. Answer the mysteries of your own island or not. Because remember, maybe it was just the people we became along the way.
Wow. Actually, a Lost TTRPG, that's tabletop role-playing game, that would actually be pretty cool.
Right?
I think it would kind of be more like Call of Cthulhu, where there's not a lot of fighting mechanics because you're going to die. You got to run,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. I haven't really played Call of Cthulhu, but I've just because I got issues with horror stuff. But
you don't like it.
I don't. Yeah, my main issue is I don't like it, and it could fudge itself.
You don't like to be scared.
Yeah, but I'm fascinated by Cthulhu and Eldritch horror, and I really dig it. Like, if it's not sci-fi horror or Eldritch horror, I don't want it. Get it away from me. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should make it.
I think that'd be rad.
Let's do
right?
a lost TTRPG.
Oh, we already got the perfect name for it too.
Lost Legacies?
Lost Legacies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Holy crap.
Wow.
I just pitched something. Eventually, I guess if we ever make a Patreon for this or anything like that, you guys can help support that.
Top tier. We'll put you in the game if you give us X amount of money.
Yeah, we'll put you in the game. You will be a playable character, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be, we're going to have to populate it with people from all over.
Oh, man, we're going to have 2 podcast brothers show up on Lost. What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on the island. We're trying to figure out, damn it, how are we going to get our podcast out?
Oh, this is kind of cool. I kind of like it. So instead of like, would it be set like during the show? Before or after?
Absolutely not. No.
Or would we just like wipe out like everything on the show and like your characters? It's a new group of people that crash land on this island.
Yeah. I mean, well, one, I've got ideas for like a Lost revival or a Lost sequel series that I'm kind of kicking up, in the back of my head that I won't give away here, but I just kind of figuring like, we just like,
have you had to change any of those ideas as you're watching?
Some of them. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Not too many because I'm mostly doing it like afterwards, but when I think of something like, ooh, wouldn't it be cool if there was this kind of character in the show? And then the next 2 episodes, they kind of go through something similar. I'm like, maybe I don't want a character like that. All right. Back to the drawing board, but yeah, I've got a different incident that happens. I've come up with some different characters. I'm coming up with different ways to play around with the flashbacks and all that. Like how basically it's just Lost, but how would Sam do it?
Yeah. Okay. You see, we mentioned a while back how much we wish Arts was still alive. Yeah. Although he was a comedian, like just kind of written for comedy. He was a science teacher. He had certain kind of viewpoint on stuff. I would have loved to have thrown him more into this show. And also if you got to have like the hunter. I want a hunter. It's just like anything, especially like Cthulhu, you have like the big white game hunter and then you're facing something that you cannot kill. So what do you do?
I think as far as like a fight mechanic would go, I would just do it based on like how much stuff you're doing in the game. So it's like if you're gonna do something like basically it's like everybody can have a fight like fighting attributes or whatever.
Right.
But I would only give you more of them if you're the one who's like facing off against more things. You know, it's like, oh, your backstory is a soldier. Okay, you're already gonna have more fighting experience. But like if you're gonna be within the main group and like, oh yeah, you went off and you found the guns and you know, you're doing this, like I would give you more fighting mechanics.
I don't want to get too much into game design. That's a whole other episode. But the thing, like, here's the thing, like, we're so used to D&D, and that was really, you know, my introduction to tabletop role playing. But that's a game that's made to fight, you know, and to save the day and to go on these adventures.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about like what kind of game do you want to make? Because one thing that really fascinates me about Call of Cthulhu is that it's horror, and it's really hard to do horror in D&D. And why is that? Because mechanically your character is built to fight. So no matter how scared you are, you're going to put up a fight. So Call of Cthulhu, it's like, no, if you fight, you die. So I think for something like Lost, it would be really cool to have something in the middle, especially because so far most of the like stuff on Lost, you probably could fight the others. It depends. Are you surrounded? How many are there? Blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But something like the smoke monster is like, no, you're probably going to die. So that's that. I think that's what kind of makes the show cool. And that's what would make a cool game. It's that mix of adventure and horror together. And how much could we realistically do? Fight mechanics are completely different if you don't have a gun, because Sawyer has all the guns.
That's true.
You know, that'd be fun.
Well, and it begins. Matt and I are going to argue about a Lost TTRPG now.
Here we go. Another 30-minute offshoot tirade.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anyone, any game designers out there listening, hit us up at hashtag Lost Legacies. As always, you can find us online. Twitter, I'm at _Matt Jimenez. Instagram, I am Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Reel, that's REEL, Texas Weirdo.
Excellent. Until next time, get lost.
Get lost.